Hey everyone, and welcome to the Sales Unscripted podcast. This is Margaret Henney.
Brian Neal here.
And guess what, baby?
What?
It's May. It is May in Indy, which means welcome race fans. And I hope you're watching this video because then you will be able to see Brian Neal's amazing jacket.
This is a throwback. I've decided that I actually have a problem with buying things that I get served.
Oh,
I do.
Oh, like on Instagram.
Yeah, and I've also noticed. So, by the way, fired glasses. Those glasses are
thank
awesome.
you.
They're just on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. They're just fantastic. Everybody has like little things, little quirky things like they like to buy. You buy a lot of things. You know what I'm realizing?
Tell me.
Jackets.
Jackets is your
I
thing.
love buying jackets. I bought like 6 of them.
But you know
Recently,
what?
I love jackets. And I always have a jacket on.
This is my thought for you. This makes perfect sense because you wear the same T-shirts every single day.
I do.
Right? Your BZ gear is what you wear. And so your jacket allows you to kind of like mix it up, keep it funky. So makes sense.
But this is just an awesome one, isn't it?
It's awesome.
It's so good.
I love it.
It's like pleather. Isn't that nice?
I love it.
Pleather.
I love it. I love it.
Now, you were gone, too. You got lots of fun news before we get into
have so much to catch up on. It's crazy.
Our topic is going to be questions. We're going to talk all things question. We're actually doing kind of a long-form thing. So we're going to split this one into two.
Two-parter.
So we're going to keep rolling.
Baby.
So our crack producer, Nick's going to help us with that.
Yeah,
so fade it out.
Nick.
So give us a quick update. You went to Portugal?
Portugal, yes.
How fun was that?
Derek and I went to Portugal. Derek's my husband, by the way.
Yes.
And we just had the best time. Europe, at the risk of sounding like a total snob and asshole. Europe is amazing. You know,
we went to Portugal.
It's so hard not to sound like a complete
Did you go to
jerk.
Lisbon? No, Lisbon's a little touristy for us.
We really kept it to Porto. No, we went to both Lisbon and Porto and had the best time. It was just like, it's an unbelievable country.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. Did you know, crazy fun fact.
What?
Lisbon is older than Rome.
Huh?
Exactly.
I had no idea.
I know.
I had no idea.
All these like crazy things that you learn that you're like, because I always think about like, okay, it's like Egypt, Greece, Rome.
What
like
was
these
first?
are like, when was it all happening?
Huh. I didn't know that.
And then Porto was great. We went on a port tasting, port wine.
Oh, I didn't know that's where that came from.
Oh yeah, baby. That's
where
why it's called
port's
port.
from?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I know. And then sherry is the Spanish version of like
Shut up.
I know. Of like a
didn't know
fortified
that.
wine.
I did not know. That's thick as brick stuff
it
there,
is.
isn't it? That stuff will knock you on your
Well, that's the
arse.
thing, because it's like it's sweet and like maybe a little bit syrupy or whatever. It's more of like it's a dessert wine.
Dessert wine.
I told you I was going to sound like an asshole this whole time.
Keep going. It's going
but
great.
It is. You're like keep digging yourself deeper, Marge.
And say what your husband does now.
Oh, he's an attorney.
My husband's an attorney, and we
Derek White, Esquire. I know we sound like jerks. I swear we're normal people. I swear to you.
Vice president of a technology company. My
I
husband's an attorney.
know. Oh God.
I love
but
it.
That's why we went on this trip. We went to celebrate because he has worked his little
He
butt
has.
off
He has.
for the last 3 years.
Go
I'm
Derek.
so proud of him. And you know
would be
what?
too.
I'm a big fan of late bloomers.
Yes.
Which both Derek and I are late bloomers,
Yeah.
which is probably why I love it. I love to hear stories of people succeeding or starting something new or whatever in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond.
Same.
Derek, and he was by no means was like the oldest one, but he'd done his undergrad, he'd worked for a while, he went back to school. This is what's funny. I'm gonna be 40 this year, and like some of Derek's buds, are fresh out of college and have even younger girlfriends. So one of Derek's really good friends,
so awesome.
so
I
funny.
love this.
One of Derek's really good friends, who I absolutely adore, and I adore his girlfriend, but his really good friend is Ben. Believe it or not, also from Monticello. Ben Manahan.
No way.
Yes, random. Completely random. It's like anyone from Monticello is just like Derek
Monticello,
White,
Indiana. That's
apparently.
where Margaret's from and all of our clients.
Yes, so many of us. And then his girlfriend, who is just adorable, her name is Riley. She invited me to her birthday party, and I was like, "How old are you going to be, Riley?" And she's like, "I'm going to be 24."
You're like, awesome.
I could
Where are we
be
going?
her
We're
mother.
going to Rock Lobster.
I could literally, quite technically, I mean, it would have been
You
a very
could, a
young
high school
birth, but
problem. Yeah, it
I
would have been
could have been her mother.
You could have been.
And now we're just buds. But isn't that
That's
so
awesome.
funny?
That keeps you young.
It does.
It does.
Keeps
It's
me
awesome.
young. But that's what I mean about late bloomers. So.
Kudos to Derek. And I
Thank
love that.
you.
My uncle did that. My uncle had 2 to 3 kids and quit a marketing job when he was 38 and went back to law school. Did you know that?
See,
He did.
love
He moved
that.
his family back to Bloomington and saved some money up, went to IU in Bloomington and got a law degree and finished his career as a lawyer.
I
It's
think that's
fantastic.
so rad.
It's awesome.
Like,
I agree.
Way to go.
100%. So good for you.
Yay.
So Portugal was fantastic.
It was
you just
great.
loved it. I
Great,
didn't know
great,
about
great.
port.
Port.
How about
I
that's
know.
great.
We'll have to drink some and talk about it sometime.
I love port.
I know,
love
it's
good port.
delicious.
I have a great drink called, I say it wrong all the time. It's called I think it's called a Belvedere.
Oh, yeah.
Belvedere, right?
Yes.
It has a little port and
Exactly.
a little
Yum.
Yeah. And so I told the bartender here at a local place we go to called Late Harvest Kitchen. His name is
Oh, I
Murph.
love Late Harvest.
Shout out Colin Murphy.
Great food.
He doesn't work there anymore, but he didn't know how to make it. And he's a very good bartender. And I said, here are the ingredients. And he kind of changed it up a little bit.
Made it even better.
He called it Brian's Blind Zebra and put it on the menu.
It was not on the menu.
It was. We put
cool.
it on the menu after I taught him to make up. Isn't that awesome?
I love it.
So I feel like extra famous. Okay, we need to talk about sales.
We got to
stuff at
talk
some
about
point.
yes.
But we haven't
we're talking
seen
about
each
sales
other
stuff.
in a long time.
We have
so
so
we're
much
trying
to catch up on.
I know.
I know.
So, and we both have like 2:00 meetings, and we're recording this at one time. So we're
Exactly.
Let's talk about sales questions.
Questions. Yes.
And your topic, but I want to start.
Yes.
Can
Oh,
I
good.
start?
Yes, please. Please.
Because I think this is the most undervalued skill.
Yeah.
I just commented on this on.
Oh, that's funny.
On the founder of Gong.
Oh, yeah.
Amit Bendit. He put something up about one of the skills that we don't value and don't test for and don't interview for, which is the skill of, really not a skill, more of a trait of curiosity.
Oh my God.
And so when we're talking about this, I think what the first starting point for me, and this is one of the Blind Zebra guiding principles. It's one of our core elements
totally
is curiosity. And really delving into ask yourself, I'm curious self, am I naturally curious? And a lot of people are not. A lot of people are. Doesn't matter if you are or not. But I think it's really important to know if you are or you're not. Because if you are not, you need to mechanize some of your question asking in the sales process. If you are naturally curious, it comes very natural to you. So are you naturally curious?
Me?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Same here.
Yes.
For days. I could ask questions for days.
I have to tell you, sometimes it would even get me into trouble when I was doing more kind of like transactional sales that I really didn't need to be probably digging in as deep as I did. But I was so curious about just like their business, their process, where they're going and all this sort of thing. And they're like, Margaret, it's a $69 thing that you're selling. Like, what are we doing? But I like couldn't stop myself. So yeah.
So I am that way. It comes from my dad was kind of a hippie, and we used to play this little game when I was like 6 years old. We would lay, and I get to ask him how it's made. So I'm like with my dad, and I would say like, how are the stars made, or where did that come from, or that sort of thing. And that was how I just developed this vibe and feeling of curiosity. So it's just never ending. So as a salesperson, really good skill.
Yes.
Natural trait to have.
Yeah.
Can be too much for sure.
Yes.
But some of you listening are not naturally curious. My wife, who's a phenomenal salesperson and leads our company, is not a naturally curious person. She takes the first answer, and that's all she needs to know.
Okay, she's off, baby.
Yeah, she's just going.
Yeah.
She wants to move,
She's
go
running.
to the deal, which I love, and it works really well, and she's great at that. And so what'll happen sometimes, and it's funny when you're married to your business partner, I'll come and start asking her a bunch of questions, and she'll be like, "No, I didn't ask that. I didn't ask that. I don't know. I don't know," and she'll think she's in trouble.
Yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yes, totally.
Right?
I'm writing
So-
down a note because I just thought of a really good ones, but I'm still listening.
So so it's not a right or wrong thing. What I want to get across here, and the point is, you don't have to be naturally curious to be good at this. You can be a good question asker. You just have to do it a different way. It becomes more mechanical and prep than second nature.
Well, and that's what we're going to do too. We're going to give you kind of like a grab bag of questions to have at your disposal. And like whether you write them down on a little cheat sheet or whatever, then you'll have them, right there. And then it'll become more natural as part of your process.
For sure.
So,
And can I give a quote from one of my friends?
Please.
My friend Chris Stark, who owns a company here in Indianapolis called Stark Capital Solutions. And they do financing and investment banking for billboard companies and cell phone towers.
Got it.
Isn't that cool?
Okay, very cool.
Okay. But he said this one time, and he may have stole it, I don't know, but he said it, so I give him credit.
Great.
Is we tend to get judged way more by the questions we ask than by the answers that we give. We get judged way more by the questions that we ask than by the answers that we give.
That's so true.
So you listening or thinking about your past week's sales calls and ask yourself, was I answering a bunch of questions or was I asking a bunch of questions? And I bet it's A over B.
You know what's funny too is even you saying that makes me think very rarely does someone give an answer and you say, that's a great answer. But,
exactly right.
You know what I mean? But when someone asks a great question, you say, what a great question.
That is it's true, isn't it? People are like, that's an awesome answer. No one
says that. You're just like, okay.
That's a really good question.
Yes.
And I think in a sales call, if you're looking for like, how am I doing in a sales call? If someone across the desk from you go, boy, that's a really good question. or they go, we've never thought about that. That's where you're really starting to 100%. Like you're challenging people's status quo. You're turning their brain on. You're making them think about something different versus just answering a bunch of questions about a product or whatever that you do or sell. That sort of thing.
If they say, sorry, now I'm going.
You're good.
See,
I
here
love
I'm
it.
going
Go.
too far.
That's what we're doing. No, you're not.
If they say that's a really good question, that means you've really hit on something that is pertinent, because even it was a really good question, but it didn't have to do with it, they'd say, actually, that doesn't particularly matter here for us.
Yes.
Or, you know what I mean? And so you'd be like, okay, got it. Thanks. You're helping me kind of figure things out about your business. You know, all right, let's take this in another direction, right?
Yes.
So they'll guide you and be like, whatever. But if it's a great question and they say that, then you're like, bing, bing, bing. Let's dig deeper.
Can I talk a little bit more about the thinking column part, and then we'll switch over to the topics?
Totally.
I know you're antsy to talk about the questions.
I know. I'm like, I'm ready
tell.
to give
You're
some
like,
more
questions. I can tell.
I have a little
list. We have a two-parter. Don't forget, we're two-parters.
You're
so there's
right.
a little time.
I'll take a breath.
Okay, deep breath. You're so excited to be not comparing you to a dog, but it's sort of like when your dog sees its owner for the first time after a long vacation. They go, we're all excited.
You're like
Margaret
spinning
and I are all
around.
excited. Yeah, exactly. The zoomies. Margaret had the zoomies. Because I was down in a sales call myself. I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I want you to think about, is there a point in time where we can go too far, or we get too curious, or we have to stop at some point?
Yeah, totally.
There's that thing. I think that's we're not. While I'd love to say we need to be able to continue line of questioning forever, which we should and can, but we shouldn't.
No.
See that? We should be able to, but we shouldn't.
Yeah.
So we did have to stop at some
Well, there's
point.
a skill there, right? Because we're trying to get to something, right? Because we're still a consultant, right? So we're digging into something where it's like, okay, this helps trigger this recommendation or thought or whatever, and we got to turn the car.
Yes. And then the last thing I'll say about this, I think this is really important. One of the things that we teach in the Blind Zebra operating system is, in our guiding principles, is the idea of intent or intention. And I think also salespeople, you have been taught, not your fault, to ask questions with the intention of hearing something that you can fix. You snapping, clicking.
Yes.
But I said something wrong, right?
Yes, totally.
So we are not doing that. We don't do that.
We're not trying to trap people into saying something where you're like, well, I'm glad you said that.
I know. Wouldn't you agree, Margaret, that it would be great if, wouldn't you agree that raising your show rates in your dealership would make sense?
Yeah.
Don't you agree with that? It's like,
and they're
dumb
like,
shit.
shit,
exactly,
man.
right. And so we call it, now I'm going to bleed and pass the tactical thing to you because you just can't stand it anymore.
No, I can stand it.
So in our methodology, in our operating system, so we call this vetting questions. We give them a name. We don't just say these are our sales questions. And the word vetting means to sort out or to decide or pick or choose. And so we ask our questions, and we teach our clients to ask questions, not with the intention to find something to fix. Like everyone's like, you got to ask them pain. What's their pain?
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I'm asking them to see if I want to continue a process with them or if I can even be helpful or what.
Totally. Yes.
And so I'm vetting them out.
Yep.
Is what I'm trying to do to see that they make sense, they don't make sense. I can't help them, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about just traits of our buyers at Blind Zebra, and we're thinking, okay, what are some things that we don't really have in our ideal client profile? And here's one I just came up with: is I want to work with people who are decisive.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to work with people who overanalyze and get stuck in the mud and overthink things. And I'm all for evaluation. I'm not saying to be, make rash decisions. At some point, they'll make one.
Yeah. Right.
And so we want to say that. And I want to ask people, because if I'm saying, how many other times have you tried installing a sales methodology, and how long did you talk to them, and how did it work? If I'm sensing a lack of decision making, or a fear of that, I'm like, not sorry.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I get bent out of shape. People that won't make a decision, they wait, and meanwhile 5 other people say yes in the same time period. They're still waiting and get going on a system or a process or using a product. And I'm like, look, I don't have time to jack around with you guys taking too much time. I need decisive people.
Yep.
So anyway, that's kind of the setup. Curiosity,
I love it.
Good intention, vetting. We're using questions not to sell or not to get people. We're using questions to discern.
We're uncovering.
Right? We're uncovering
Yes.
to see if we can be helpful or not, or if the person is the kind of company we want to work with.
Well, and I'm going to add in a different type of question as well. So I would love for you to do whatever a great vetting question is that you have in mind, because some of the questions that I have are also check-in questions
okay.
because I find this is something that I used to struggle with, and I had to break myself of it because I'm a really good talker.
Yeah, you are.
And so I also come from a performance background.
Yes.
And when I would get into my mode, as you might imagine, I would just be like running. I am running to this or that, and I'm really excited about solving a problem for people. And before you know it, I've been monologuing.
Oh, the monologue.
Right. And then I'm not stopping to check in.
Right.
To, kind of tone check with people, what's going on. So I've created this sort of bank of questions for myself at different points that I can, and it helps check me as well. So I'm like, take a breath, Margaret.
I like.
So
Me
anyway,
like.
And the funny thing is, this actually came a little bit from Gong. We were using Gong at the time.
Yeah.
And it turns out like my percentage of talking versus my customers was way off base.
Yeah.
Like,
what was it? Do you remember?
I think it was something like it's pretty way off. Like, let's say it was maybe me talking 75% of the time, them talking 25% of the time. Now, it depends where you are in the conversation. Sometimes you will talk more, but it shouldn't be that off balance.
No.
Like,
mine's bad the other way.
Oh, you're just listening.
I'm a 90-10. I'm just asking a question and sitting there. But it's not necessarily good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get to the end of a sales call, they go, we don't even know what you do or how you do it. I'm like, yeah, shoot, okay.
Missed that part.
So let's so that's kind of the setup.
Okay.
So we'll kind of pause and go into episode 2. That way Nick can say, okay, so we'll bring ourselves back in here in episode 2 and carry right on, right?
I love it.
Good on that?
I love it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
We'll go tactical questions in the next segment.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Hang tight.